they want to share from the last week? Okay, well, let me start with this form here. No, not that one. Okay. So this is a broker risk management weekly practice tip. This was from August. And this is for sellers who receive post-close escrow claims from buyers, which happens somewhat frequently, too frequently for us, but and sometimes they're kind of minor things, and sometimes they're more involved. This is a practice tip, and connected to it when you go online at Broker Risk Management is a form called Advisory for Sellers Who Receive a Claim from Buyer after escrow closes. And its subtitle is Why Sellers Need to Retain a Qualified California Real Estate Attorney. And I'll go on to Broker Risk Management and show you how to find this thing. And I hope most of you know how to do that. But so what we got this week was a letter from a transaction that closed in mid-2020. The buyer was claiming that the seller failed to disclose a leaky roof and other items around the house, a failed pump, and various things, and was asking, this letter was from an attorney written on behalf of the buyer and was asking for a pre-litigation settlement of $45,000. I think the house sold for like $750 or something. Well, I won't go into the background of what happened during the escrow per se. There was lots of disclosures. There were very detailed buyer's requests for repairs that the seller did, agreed to and did. Just looking it over, we the broker and the agent feel that she's in pretty good shape, that she disclosed everything, but still you got to respond to these things. So this form, the sellers who receive claim from the buyer, is a good one to send to our client. Other practice tips are: do not give legal advice, do not make opinions or make assumptions about who's liable or the amount of damages. Don't discuss those sort of things. We should not assist the seller in any way with first obtaining approval or permission of the broker. So really, our agent is going to start, pulling together a written response. And I said, no, we don't do that. What the agent can start to do and should start to do is make their own notes about each claim and what they see in our paperwork about each claim and their knowledge about each claim, and just keep their notes privately, because we may get pulled into a mediation where we need to present our side. So while it's fresh, make your notes and keep those about the claims. Regardless of the explanation, do not meet with the seller's attorney or discuss anything with the seller's attorney. Dual agency situations, it's important to remain neutral. If parties agree to mediate, do not attend without the authorization of the broker. We usually do agree to attend mediations, even if we aren't named in the claims, to assist our clients. But that's not in every case. There's been cases where we didn't go to mediations because we didn't think it was appropriate. So anyway, this is a good practice tip when you get into that situation. We need to remember that our agency, the termination of agency, I just took my agency, I'm renewing my license for the end of February. So I just did my agency section of the renewal. And so there's a couple things that were new for me, even though I've been around a while. One was the requirement that we not only have the agency disclosure, give the agency disclosure in writing, but we're required by statute to give it orally. And I really had forgotten about that. So what I typically do when I, send the agency form over to the client is say, this is the agency form. I call it the 15-second summary. This is the agency form. It's required by state law. That's the first thing. So, you got to get that out there. That's required by state law. And it tells you, the different forms of agency. We could be an agency for the buyer alone. We could be the agent for you, the seller alone, or we could be a dual agent. And in this case, for at this point, we're a dual, a single agent for you, the seller. But if one of our other agents or I bring in an offer, then we might be a dual agent. So this explains so that's the 15-second summary of the agency disclosure. And I hope that meets the criteria of the law of orally explaining the agency disclosure. The other thing I was getting at there was about the termination of agency. So the agency can be terminated by unilateral termination. That is, the seller just fire us. Which creates some potential liability on the part of the seller, or the buyer could fire us if we have a buyer-brokers agreement. Death, if our client dies, or the agent dies, the termination, the agency is automatically terminated. And when the transaction closes, or the transaction or the purpose of the agency is fulfilled, in our case, when the transaction closes, our agency is terminated. So that was we had an agency relationship with that client during the transaction, but once the transaction closes, we're no longer agents. The person's our friend and our past client, but we can't, we are no longer their agents. So we can't act as their agent when they get a dispute claim. Any questions on any of that? The second one I wanted to cover, and I may have kind of closed the file. I think I did. Let me go pull it up again. Oh, here it is. Let me go back to share screen. Okay. So we went over this recently, but it came up again this week about the proper use of the contingency removal form. And remember, this form was revised on 12/21. So it's a brand new form, and it's created a little differently. And we had a situation, and Kendra, our agent, is on the call here, where it's very tough to get contracts accepted these days. And Kendra's in a competitive offer with other offers, and she asked the listing agent, well, how can we compete with the other offers? And they said, well, we got a deal that, they had removed all the contingencies. And there was a seller's package that was given to everybody in advance. And so most of the things the seller was required to review were there. But, something came up. They got into escrow, and congratulations on that. And then something came up about a drainage, and it came up in a revised, updated preliminary title report. It showed, all of a sudden, it showed 2 drainage easements across the property. So about removing the contingencies, these are the practice tips that are in this advisory. Agent must carefully review all of paragraph 12 of the RPPA along with the BIA form to fully understand the scope of the investigation contingency. That the inspection contingency is only part of the investigation contingency. So there's the inspection contingency and the investigation contingency. And the buyer should not remove the entire investigation contingency, i.e. all of CR paragraph 2C, unless the buyer is satisfied with all aspects of the buyer's investigations, including the insurability of the property and, title information and so forth and so on. In this case, well, let me just go through the remaining practice tips and then we'll summarize it. Only the loan and appraisal conditions can be removed or waived in the purchase agreement by checking the box. So all the other contingencies can be removed or waived in the RPA by checking the box in the final column of the grid, 3L, and by attaching and completing the signed CR form. So what we did in our offer was check the box that said all contingencies removed and CRs attached, but the CR never got attached. It was prepared and signed, but never attached, so it was never conveyed to the seller. So, we're taking the position, okay, well, we didn't remove all contingencies, and we went back and revised it so that CR2C, the investigation contingencies, were still viable. I don't know what the outcome has been. Buyers, and the last practice tip here is buyers should not remove the contingencies to review any and all documents that are specified in RPA 2D, F, and G, unless the buyer is certain that the buyer has received all of such seller's documents. So what she's saying in the short here is that we want to reserve our buyer's investigation right, even if we move the inspection contingency. Okay. So that's complicated, but it's a complicated, that's one of the more complicated issues we deal with. Let's see, what else I got?
Gary, if someone has removed that investigation contingency and new information is revealed later, like I just had, the title added something to the prelim 2 days before close, does that start a new 3-day right of rescission, or what happens?
Yeah, in my view, it would re-trigger an opening of that particular contingency, review of title. And you would have, I don't know if you would have a statutory time. My guess, you would have, you probably the 3 days would be a reasonable time to investigate that, or extend, ask for an extension on that particular issue. I think, part of our job sometimes, a big part of our job is negotiations. And I think in Kendra's situation, when something like this came up that wasn't in the seller's original disclosure package, and maybe the seller didn't even know about, I think it's reasonable to try to negotiate with the listing agent and the buyer for our buyer, and the listing agent for the seller, to, hey, we need to look into this. Let's carve this out as a negotiation item so we can investigate it. Let's say Kendra had sent along the CR form and all contingencies were removed. I think we could negotiate reopening discussions around that particular item because it was new to the contract. I mean, they can't ask you to remove something that you don't already have possession of. It's kind of the bottom line.
Just, I had this issue with Vicky, and Vicky said we didn't get more time for investigation, but we did have a 5-day. They changed the right of rescission to 5 days, so you can rescind the contract based on new information, new disclosure items.
Right. Okay. So our negotiation ploy is say, hey, this is a new item. We're going to rescind the contract unless we agree that we can investigate this item. Let's see. I see a couple of questions in the chat. Let me look at those. Yeah, I'll send that to you, Kendra. Is this issue done on an addendum or an amendment? Good question. If you're already in contract and already in escrow, like Kendra is, it would be done with an amendment because you're amending the existing contract. The last thing I wanted to share, and I kind of lost it on my desktop, is the agent commission sharing agreement. So we have an agent who was contacted by a client and said, we'd like you to co-list the property with such and such agent from Coldwell Banker. And our agent said, fine. And there's a form called Agent Commission Sharing Agreement. That's just an agreement between the brokerages. It's not an agreement between the agents and the seller. And we need that form to be executed between the brokerages that spells out the agreement about the agent sharing, the commission sharing. So these two agents going to share the listing. They're going to share the listing side commission. That form says how that's all going to work. It also says who's going to do what work, who's going to advertise it, who can put their sign up, all kinds of stuff like that. So if you get into a situation where you're being asked to share a listing with another brokerage, that's the form we would use. And I just wanted to show you real quickly. Let me share screen again and go to desktop and close this. And go to broker risk management. Here's this, going on my browser now, and I'm going to go to broker risk management. So it's brokerriskmanagement.com. This is our risk management firm, and we're going to log in here. I'm going to move this here, so I'm going to log in. And make a note of this, the login, some of you already have this, but you should keep this handy. The login username is BHGWCG, and the password is Bonita, capital BONITA, and then you log in. And so you get up here, here's the weekly practice tip, and they're in order, alphabetical, date order. So this is the last one that was put out, January 14th, January 7th, December 31st, so forth. And if you're searching for one, like we wanted to search for sellers who receive, so we're going to say seller claims. See what we come up with. So I'm going to put enter, it's going to search, and here it is. This is the second one. Seller who receives post-close of escrow buyer claims. And so there's the tip, and here's an advisory that we would use to send to the client if they've received a claim, what they should do. So that's the best practices for us. This website doesn't allow you just to export this, unfortunately. I mean, I'd like to just say, okay, I want to send this form to somebody, to myself. So what I've done in the past is just, taken this form, this part of the form here, and I've copied it all. And then I paste it in a Word document, and then I can use it. So it's a little awkward that way, but that's how you could use a form that's in there. And certainly call me or Randy if you're kind of searching around for something or how to use one of these weekly practice tips. We're certainly here to help you. And that's all I have this week. So I'm going to turn it over to Heather.
That was quick.
Yeah,
It's nice when there's not too much stuff that's come up, right?
it's true.
And And just to let you guys all know, we are, well, Haley's in the works of trying to create something where all of these different resources are going to be available at one site. So you'll be able to go on to, winecountrygroup.com or whatever it ends up being. And the broker risk management will be right there with the instructions on how to access it, as well as Greenhouse and all of our other resources. Because I know a lot of us spend a lot of time hunting, like, okay, where is it? What email is it in? So they're working on bringing it all in one place. So it's really easy to find everything. Today, I just wanted to show you, and it's not going to take a lot of time either, because it's a really quick, easy thing to do, how to create a map on Google that you can share with your clients when you're going to go out and do a buyer tour with them. I know a lot of us are, even more than usual, not riding along in our cars with our clients these days. Just keeping that little bit of space. And, some of us do it all the time as well. But what you can do is you can create on Google a specific map of all the properties that you're going to be looking at. Then you can email it to your clients. They can bring it up on their phone and then just click on each one as they go, and, get the directions right to that property. And they can see the overall also of where they're going to be going that day. So let me share my screen. It is very easy and quick to do, but it is a pretty cool little resource for you. So I know a lot of us use the Google Maps features on our phone, and of course, there go my dogs. Hopefully it won't be long, but they're barking. Sorry about that. Let's see. So when you are in whatever website that you want to create this map in, you can just, the site is mymaps.google.com. You can also go into Google Maps and then just add in, as you can see here, it's google.com/maps or my maps. So it's really easy to find. And then you can just create a map. It doesn't take more than just a couple minutes. Right up here on the top left. Hopefully can you guys all see this? It says create new map on the top left.
Yep.
Yeah, okay. I always want to make sure that it's showing. All right, so you just click on create a new map, and then you get the entire United States. Hopefully you're not showing things that far away, but you can title the map, maybe your client's last name, client name, and the date or something, so that you know when it's for. You can put in a description in here. These are the homes we're going to see on Sunday, whatever you want to do. It does come up in there so they know what it is. If you're going to ever want to add a lot, you can, up here on the top left, see this little yellow blue button. You can import from a list, but I tend to just type in the addresses one by one, because it just takes as long to create a list, like a CSV list or what have you. But you can just, once you've got your map created, you just put in the addresses that you're going to be looking at on the weekend or whenever you're going out. Oh yeah, this one doesn't pop up. 47. I'm just using a couple of ones that I am going to go look at. That is not how. Once you type it in, you'll see where it comes up on the map, and then right here it gives you the details, and then at the bottom here, see this little plus sign? You just click add to map. And so you're just going to do that with all of the properties. I'm just putting in a few for a sample here. 2011 Siesta Lane. It did not add it to the map. So if that little box doesn't pop up, you just click on it, and then so you click on where it's placed the pin, the little green pin here, and then click add to map. And so you're just going to want to add how many ever properties you're going to go see. Add each of those to the map. So right now I've got 3 properties. Say I'm going to show all these on Sunday with my clients. Then all you have to do, very simple, you can preview it right here on the top left. See the little eyeball, it says preview, and you can share it. So I'll just show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you how to share. this is what it's going to look like when your client opens it up on their phone or on, if they do it on their computer. But it does show all three, the little blue pins there. It shows all the properties so they can get an idea of like, oh, I didn't realize this one was way over, on this side of town. We can take it off or what have you. I know sometimes people don't realize. And then as they're in their car, they can click on those particular ones and get the driving instructions. They just click on it, then they click view in Google Maps and then get the directions. So it's pretty handy that way. Now let me go back to show you how to share it. Of course, I can't access it because that thing is in the way.
There's a share right there under your name.
Oh, there you go. I always did it from the other screen. Perfect. So yeah, just click on share. Oh, so this is, there you go, share via email. So this is the way I do it, is I just share, I send it to them in an email. If you know that your clients don't access email from their phone, you also can get a link. And what I've done is just emailed it to myself and then emailed it, or what did I do? Not eat it because they can't access it from, oh, and then I just copy and paste and text it to them. Text them the link so they can just click on it from their phone if they don't like using the email there. So you can just share via email and you're gonna have to change permissions, make it public if you want to share it. If you go from that other page, you don't have to do that. But anyways, let me pull this up. We can't see this. How do I make this small? Collapse map legend. There we go. So then the share will come up. You can either email it directly to someone if you want to, or you can email it to yourself, like I said, and then access it from your phone and copy the link. So those are the options of how you can send it to someone. I'm going to take her off there. You can also put in a message here. I'm going, this is our trip. And then you send it over. Let me show you as well. When you're on that original page, that's not it. There we go. Okay. Can you guys see the big map again? Did it pop back up?
We got the United States, yeah.
Okay, great. So once you've, if you don't go into that preview, if you just want to share from here, you just click on this share button and it's not showing any. Let me pull up a map. Open a map. All right. There we go. All right. Oops. Okay, there we go. There's my map, a map with some properties in it. So you just click here on this, on the left-hand side, the little person says share. Here you can also, it'll give you, from this screen, it'll give you the link. So you can just copy this link instead of emailing it to them. You can copy a link and then, like I said, email it to yourself and then text it to them. I think that's a really easy way to do it for them as well. Make it easy as possible for them. And from their phone, if you might want to try it out, send it to yourself on your phone or access it on your phone, and you'll see you can just click on each of those little pins and then get driving directions right from there. So pretty handy.
Very, very cool. Thank you.
You bet.
Let's see, it's in the chat. Nancy says, I love this. Thank you, Heather. And Curtis was referencing back to my inability to needing to copy and paste from the website there. And he says W10, I guess that's on a Mac or a PC because I have a Mac. But I guess W10 is a function on the PC where you could print that if you highlight it and print it. Mac might be able to do that too. I don't know. Okay. Yeah. There's shortcuts of Control-C to copy and Control-V to paste. Yeah, always got those. Okay. All right, so that's like our contracts and tech this week. Heather's out at a board meeting next week, so we'll skip next week and we'll pick it up again in February. Any questions, burning questions we can address? Randy's deep in thought, so he has none. Then we'll catch you in a couple weeks and call in the meantime if you have any questions come up. All right.
And come to the business training or the business planning class next week. Let me know if
Yeah.
you have any questions about that.
Everybody attend business training live Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. You'll get
Everybody should be there.
yeah, we'll get another notice on Monday. We'll send out another reminder. All right, everybody. Have a great weekend. Be
Bye,
well.
everybody. Have a good one.
Thanks, Heather.
You bet.